So I did see Ben getting off the train that I was getting onto
Oh,
earlier this
right.
week
That's weird.
because I'm working in the area where Ben lives. So he was coming home as I was going home in the other direction. And, you know, I sent a message afterwards, but I thought, like, if I knew what seat he was in, is it weirder to sit there and cop his bum warmth or a stranger's bum warmth? Like, is it better not to know, or is like a friend's bum warmth probably nicer than a stranger's bum warmth?
Mm, what an excellent question. I mean, I won't speak for Ben. I think sharing. If you told me that you'd sat in my bum warmth after I got off the train, I think that would be quite nice
Okay, good.
compared to someone else, like a stranger's. You know.
Yeah, I suppose. I
So it's,
suppose.
it's getting towards winter. I've left you a bit of warmth.
Like this is like the bum warmth of 30 years of friendship.
Yeah, it was almost rude of me not to ask where you'd sat, wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is on you.
I do like the idea of you pushing past someone
No.
to prevent them. No, that's my.
Just throwing my bag across the carriage and landing it there. That's
No, my
fine.
friend sat there and he warmed it up for me. So
That's right.
get off that.
Oh, of course.
I mean, does that extend to, like, toilets, right? If you go in a public toilet and the
Oh yeah, which
seat's
stall
warm,
you're in?
yeah, and the seat's warm and it's a stranger's warmth, is
Yeah.
that weirder? Like, it's winter. I've warmed it for you.
Yeah. Well, be the friend that warms the seat.
Hmm.
Yeah, these are the things I kind of think about after work during the week,
Yeah, I get it. I do think you need. Yeah, next time we go, if you
Yep.
see Stu, you need to tell him which seat. Take a photo.
Yep. I might just, anytime I'm on the train, I might
Just
start
sign
taking
it.
photos of the train
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
sending it to
That's right.
Buckland.
Yeah,
Maybe
I was
little
going to say
videos.
mark it, but that's the wrong image.
Well, let's not stop there. You could leave me a little treat as well, like a nice little crunchy or something.
Yeah, a little Hershey's kiss there for you, and some bum warmth.
I'd rather not have a
That's
Hershey's
also-
kiss sitting on the seat.
Just slowly melting.
Yes. There's some bum warmth is just too warm.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Dad Pants, isn't it? I'm going to have a little parenting check-in with these Pants Panel fellows. Now listen, we started this podcast about 3 or so years ago. I thought I'd do a little check-in with you guys and how you feel about your parenting, because we did an episode early on called Get to Know the Pants Panel where I asked you a few questions so people could get an idea of your parenting approaches. And I'm kind of intrigued to see, if I ask you the same questions, how different your answers are 3 years later. So is that all right with everyone, first of all, or do you want to just flat refuse?
Oh, no, absolutely keen for this line of questioning.
Very good.
Have you got a Monty update just to kick us off? Or
I don't know. I never hear from him.
oh, well, there you go.
That's a hard no.
As far as I know, that's fine. That's fine. As far as I know, he's still managing his tire business. But yeah, I don't really hear from him, unfortunately. So I think I started the parenting check-in by asking you guys to give a one-word description of what you feel your parenting style is. Who'd like to go first there?
One word parenting style.
After everyone's answered, I'll tell you what you said 3 years ago as well.
Okay. So are we saying what we thought we said then, or what we?
No,
think
you're
now?
saying what you think now.
Okay.
Yes, going to have to edit out some of that silence.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Inconsistent.
Right.
Oh, what a great answer.
Okay.
I feel that, Ellis. I feel that.
Now, but you're aware that's inconsistent, so that means that it's a ever-evolving kind of challenge, right? What are you thinking of when you say inconsistent there?
I suppose just I know that I need to strike a better balance between school Richard and home Richard.
Okay.
And recently it's been under a lot of pressure. I find that I'm a much better parent during holidays. And I think that probably most people would say that. Like, you're kind of spending more time and you become much more in tune with your kids and you get a better rhythm going on. And I think that, so making sure that they know where the boundaries are and keeping that consistency there is probably something which I kind of need to improve upon. So, very reflective, but, definitely room for improvement.
So you want to flatten out that waveform, I guess.
Yeah, I like the rhythm. The rhythm of anything when it's going well is always it's a nice thing. And I think that, at the moment, there's a little bit of inconsistency there.
Okay.
Ellis, how far away from your school do you live?
Oh, it's an arduous journey of about 8 minutes every morning.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you don't really get any time in the afternoons to sort of disconnect before you actually get home.
And I think that's the big thing. Like literally for the last kind of 3 to 4 weeks, I've been at school at 7:30, not stopping all day, leaving school at 5:30, coming home and dadding. And it's taken its toll. And and then the weekends you then become just fried. So trying to keep that, as I say, keeping the boundaries consistent and just being, try not to be grumpy and, everything else. But, it's
Fried is a better word than inconsistent. You could have used.
Yeah, fried's good. I would say, Ellis, as a ray of sunshine to what you're saying, I think when your kids get older, maybe this isn't true, but I find I'm more consistent because they're more consistent. That's what I'm finding is that, because when they're younger, you sort of have to set the rhythm or something. I find my kids have their own rhythm now and they're just not as needy. Like that's the basic thing.
Yeah.
So it's,
I think that's it.
As a fellow teacher, like, and I'm sure your wife would feel the same. Like if you're at school and you are needed all day and then you come home, it doesn't take much for your kids to just like, I need to can you do this? Well, my kids now, I get home and they just say, can you help me with my English? Can you help me with this? I'm like, oh my God, this is all I've done all day. Give me a fucking break for like 10 minutes. But that's what I found is that consistency of how I am has changed now that they're way more self-sufficient, less demanding of me.
Yeah, I think it's those things that when it's tough at school, and sorry, this is getting a bit boring now, but when it's tough at school, it means that you kind of, you got to kind of, you look at the way that certain kids, especially kids' behaviour, and you don't want to see that coming into your home type thing, that kind of disrespect and that sense of entitlement. So, entitlement's such a big thing, and so really kind of trying to instill in them that lack of sense of entitlement and a bit of and a bit of gratitude for what they have got type thing. So
that's where they get that response on their face. Yes, where they'll have a look on their face of like, where did that come from? I just asked you if I could have some pretzels.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Can I have a Zupa Duper? You entitled little pal.
Bizarrely, again to the contrariness, I've kind of found that as soon as you stop, like trying to point out to kids when they should be appreciative, respectful, all that sort of stuff, that's when Owen started doing it. When I just went, I don't see a point in trying to do this anymore.
Well, just become more human-like at that age. Like I saw Owen. I went over to Stu's a few weeks ago, and he just was just like a human. Like, oh, hello, how's it going? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, nice to see you. See you later. And then he left the room, and I was like, all right, they just become a human. Like, it's very sudden. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a pretty recent thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, giving your kids a break is a big part of that as well. So giving your kids, like, they need to have a break. They need to be cut some slack a fair bit.
Well, I gave him a break, but that's just because I couldn't be fucking bothered anymore. But,
Well, you're also giving yourself a break, right?
Yeah. That's right. You're probably more relaxed, and they're more relaxed because, I don't know. It's
no, there's something in that. Yeah. Matt, your word?
It's probably like, and this is a new word, I guess, for me, which is like patient, I guess. A bit more patient.
You're patient? Okay.
Yeah. I'll ask my wife about that, and we'll get some feedback on that, whether that's true. But
Ben, your word?
I would say the word that came to mind was loose. In that, you're
leaving your bongs lying around again.
Exactly, like shooting up in front of him.
Accidentally gave Rosie a bottle of whiskey to take to school.
That's right. Well,
it was a birthday.
No, well, I mean loose in the fact that I think I like to enforce rules when it suits me. So there's not a consistency.
Whim-parenting.
Sorry?
Whim-parenting.
Well, yeah, there's a bit of that going on, right? Like sometimes I will be free and easy, and then sometimes the chains and the balls and the chains come out, and it happens in an instant. And it is... So I suppose it talks to Ellis's inconsistency. Like there's definitely a lot of that in me as well, but probably from a different perspective.
Okay. But again, you're aware of it, so you know that it's something to be worked on.
Absolutely.
All right.
So loose.
Here are your answers from 3 years ago. I asked for a one-word description of your parenting style. Matt said open door. Which is 2 words.
2 words, yeah.
Glad you aren't an English teacher.
Hey, that's Matt.
Rich said 3/4 arsed. Again, teachers, number of words. And Ben, 3 years ago, you described your parenting style as loose.
Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Hey.
Oh, that's right, isn't it?
No, it's just that my vocabulary is very small.
All right. Well, you guys have all kind of, well, not you so much, Matt, but Ben and Rich, you've kind of indicated things that you'd like to work on about your parenting. What about some dad's strengths? Can be more than one word this time. What do you consider your dad's strengths?
Well, look, I went to my wife for a little bit of insight here because I actually struggled to
do my work for me, you mean? Or
well, yeah, no, a little bit of that, but also I tend, when I look at this sort of stuff, I tend to look at what I'm doing wrong rather than what I'm doing right. So when I first started thinking about this, all of the things that I'd done wrong in the last 3 days in and around my parenting just came flooding back to me. So I was like, hang on a second. I need a little bit of perspective from outside here. So I'm going to ask my wife. And she said that I was an excellent role model.
Aw.
From a relationship perspective and from a work perspective and from even just a friendship perspective, like that my ability to role model what those things look like was a real positive within my parenting.
I think especially the work, because you, even though I don't know how much they know, but even though for a long time you were doing something you didn't really enjoy, you still put everything into it, because that was your means of supporting your family. So, yeah, I think that's absolutely a very big thing to show your kids. role model wise.
So she did all my work for me, and I'm really happy with that answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be too. I think that's 100% correct. Who's next?
Oh, I guess, yes, I'll go next if no one's jumping in. I don't bloody
Well, it's just
know.
Rich. I'm not answering any of these.
Oh, you're not answering this?
I was going to say, I'm hanging out for bucket. I'm going to say,
Am I on the pants panel? I don't think I am.
I thought you were. I would bring
I think you're the
things
chief
back.
head.
We probably needed to check this 3 years ago before we set you.
I didn't know to check the bylaws. That's how it works.
I'm the crusty
Rashad
old.
pant.
I'm the crusty old monk, burning incense in front of the oracles.
Oh,
I don't know nothing about. I don't know nothing about nothing.
The thing have always wanted to do is just talk to my kids in the most open and direct way as possible. I've always sort of talked to them that way. I don't like to patronize them or even I don't like to even try and simplify things, I guess. But I don't know. That's kind of what I've aimed for. But they still surprise you with how old they actually are or how much they actually understand. And
Yeah.
I don't know. My eldest asked for help with her English homework, and she was commenting on all this stuff, and I was just like, "Oh,
You said, "Fucking let me rest for 10 minutes."
Yeah, I said, "Oh, well, that's usually they know that's the difference too. Is they go, I need some help with this later when you are
good.
free. That's the difference. They don't just march in with their computer and plop it on my head, basically. But yeah, they still surprise me, and then you're like, oh right, oh yeah, you're in year 10. That's some year 10 thinking, and it's yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I've always just appreciated. I mean, one of my first child was happy to tell me every little thought that's in her head anyway, so that was quite easy. It's a bit more difficult with the younger one who keeps her cards close to her chest, I guess.
Yeah. It's funny how different kids can be. I couldn't be less like my brother,
Yeah.
who's a year and a half younger than me. I really think we should do a teacher. Oh no, we've been saying this for a few years. A teacher-based episode, because it just then when you were talking about that, it made me think, is there extra pressure on teachers helping their children with schoolwork? Is there professional standards to uphold?
No, I don't think so. That's a good question about whether it's a conflict of interest. I don't think so.
Oh, not even that. Just are you? What if you help them and they don't do well? Does that affect your teaching confidence? Things like that.
I think that there's a bit of, especially I think it's the younger years thing, possibly more so than the older years. Teachers are kind of surprised that George can't read going to school. Why didn't you teach him? It was because he's my son, he's not my student. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to teach him. He'll do it when he's ready at school and learn the wrong way that you teach him how to read. So, and this is the other problem we have, is when they are doing things which are fly in the face of evidence and they still do it anyway. But anyway, that's another story altogether.
Well, I guess that's the other aspect. That's the other aspect of what I was thinking when you feel like your children are not being taught the way you would want to teach.
Yeah. The hard part is the amount of times I say to my kids, this assignment's it's not that it's a terrible assignment. It's just set out so in such a complicated way.
You ever been tempted to mark an assignment and send it back?
Yeah. Well, I feel like it, because when you're working in what I learned in inclusion support was it's really hard to work shit out if you don't know. Teachers just say, oh, this might all make sense. I'll put all this information down. The more information, the better it'll be. And then you just get this wall of text. And then you realize for inclusion kids, you've got to make it much more user-friendly and space it out. And then you're like, I should just do that for everyone. And then you do it for everyone, and then everyone's like, oh, okay, parents can understand it because it's... And then, that's my thing. But the real thing is I helped Noelle with her English work today, and it's a year 7 level. I don't correct her. It's pretty standard year 7 work. I don't go, let's try and push you further, or let's correct this language and make this better. And you just go, well, that's the level you're at. That's just, I'm just there to like, well, why don't you could do this idea, but a lot of it is just decoding their assignments for them.
Yeah.
Rather
Well,
than-
Maddie,
Interpreter.
Yeah.
when Jasmine was doing high school,
Yeah.
she would contact Matthew
Yeah.
and send him the assignment that she's been set, and then send him her written work, and you would send back some questions, which was
Yeah,
a really
all
nice way
questions.
to, yeah.
That's how I teach. That's the way, especially the older kids. Is that you just go questions. I'm not going to say rewrite it like this. You're like, well, what do you actually mean here? Or give me an example. I don't know.
Is everyone
yeah.
ready for a fantastic pun?
Oh,
Yes.
Yep. All right. Sounds like Jasmine was using Matt GPT.
Yes.
Wow.
That's the
funny.
title. That's the fucking title.
I need to patent that.
All right. Well, I know
That needs to be your own podcast, Matty.
we could keep going on teacher stuff for a while, but I do think we should dedicate an episode or two to it because it's fascinating, the idea to me of teacher versus parent kind of thing.
Good.
As I say,
Can we talk about teacher versus parent like
In the Thunderdome.
in the Thunderdome?
yeah, it's Street
Well, I
Fighter
would-
style.
There's always a couple. There's always a
I
couple.
will get my wife to sit in on that episode.
All right.
She and I will fight in the laundry.
let me get through these questions so that we can all go to bed at some point. Rich, did you have your strength there?
Probably similar to Matty, the communication as a probably, I know we're not supposed to use this word, but having grown up as a bit of an emotional retard, being able to actually express my feelings to my children and listen to them and get them to express themselves a lot more eloquently and
It's
genuinely
liberating
than I
isn't it?
ever could was a really strong thing. And having that relationship that I probably never had. So that's a really, it's a good foundation to build upon, I think. So,
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of honesty there and we can know it, and that's the big thing that I really want to cultivate, I suppose, as little Miss 8 starts to become 8 going on 14. So she thinks she's got some very interesting friend choices.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
I think it's interesting having that emotional freedom that we didn't have as guys growing up, really. We never really knew what we were missing out on, it feels like to me.
I think
yeah.
I think I was quite emotional out of the three of the kids of two of my brothers. I think that confused my dad more than anything else.
Gay.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I think I was emotional, but my parents couldn't deal with it. That was the thing.
yeah, they just definitely. I mean, we studied drama. Like, what more do you want?
Yeah, gay.
Gay.
Gay, so gay.
Had
All right.
female friends.
As my uncle called it, that actor's disease.
Jeez.
You haven't got that actor's disease, have you?
Ugh.
God.
All right, so the answers from 3 years ago. Dad's strengths. Matt, you enjoy talking to your kids and you do it without showing any judgment for anything they might be saying.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben said, my kids know that I love them. That's his dad's strength. And we didn't get an answer from Rich because we'd gone off on a tangent by the time.
Started
We were
talking
talking about
night poos.
the
that's-
gender fart gap.
Dudes, so the next three, there are tangents before we get everyone's answers. So, all right. So, proudest parenting moment. Do you have a proudest parenting moment?
When I look back, I think the best thing that Juz and I did as parents, this is like a double answer, was we went and saw a family therapist when one of my children, I won't talk about which one, but I'm sure you'll know which one, was around, like you were saying, Ellis, that 8 years old. And we went to basically get some advice on what to do with her, basically to fix her. And
Yeah.
what actually happened, of course, was we changed the way we'd been parenting, and that was a way more beneficial to us. Like, he spent, I think, 3 sessions with us and 1 session with her, and that's how it sort of worked out. And it was just like, oh, okay, it's not really about her. It was about like what we could do to help her.
Yes.
And that's looking back, like, even at the time it was hard and we were like, oh my God, but that was, I think, a real turning point in our parenting together, because a lot of it was that kind of stuff of like understanding how each of us wanted to be as parents versus the way we were, and trying to express that. So I think that was probably, looking back, like a big difference to it, to like a definite before and after.
So it sounds like the pride comes from when you realized what the situation was turning into, just embracing it and running with it quickly, I suppose.
Well, I think the pride just comes from like at some point she became a happier person, or just just less intense and less stressed, and I guess we were able to go, well, you know, how did that happen? And a lot of it came from, I think, around that time, just being like, oh, we have to sort of accept. You have to accept I think my good friend Alison said, like, at some point you just have to accept the kids that you have, not the ones you want, and that was a big difference. So that was probably it.
I want a good tennis player. I'm not going to have one.
Yeah, that's right. That's a loser answer, because she's never going to win anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they're probably just putting it more on the kids, and what has rubbed off on them is probably that sense of humour and that love of the inane and bizarre, like just the way that they've absolutely embraced The Simpsons and getting the right jokes, like they understand the right jokes, and yeah, that's something, and music as well. Like, you know, I think they're providing them with a lot of pop culture. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, they absolutely love all that kind of stuff, and so that's something that we can share.
Yeah, I love that answer. My kids are a very satisfying blend of weird and funny.
Yes.
And
absolutely, they're genuinely funny people. Like,
yeah, and I just feel really good when someone says something extremely well timed or just extremely unexpected. You know, it's fantastic.
I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast, but I bought a shirt recently and I was wearing it, and my youngest just looked at me and she said, "Huh, that's an interesting shirt." And I said, "Okay," and she said, "You look like a child in an old movie who could be riding a tricycle holding a balloon." I was like, "Great, that's amazing."
That's so good. But even like your pride in them enjoying this development, that kind of stuff, like, you know,
yeah, and it was just beautifully phrased. Yeah, she thought about it and it phrased it well. And now when I put that shirt on, I think this is my tricycle balloon shirt.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Them finding their own humour, like,
absolutely. Like George stands up, takes his shirt off, and introduces us to his nipples, Sam and Ben, and has a conversation with them and we're like, "What on earth are you on about?" He's like, This is Sam, and this is Ben. Hello, Sam. Hello, Ben. And he has them talking to each other. Like, there's no way that he's seen anything which has anything to do with that. But he's just incredible. He knows that's just amazing. Just amazing. The characters.
I hope they're like one's good and one's evil.
They get into mischief, and they come out and go, "Hang on a second," and it's a great icebreaker. If there's ever any tension at the dinner table, he goes, "Oh, what do you think about that, Sam?" And he just kind of looks down his shirt and goes, "Yeah, I think so too." It's like, what on earth? What on earth?
that is incredible.
All right, Ben.
Oh dear. So I think there's a pride in. So I think about the kids and their comfort within the house of basically saying what they want to say and being as emotional or unemotional as they need to be, and yet going out into the world and being really good people
Yeah.
Like they don't carry any of that stuff with them when they walk out the door. They're just really good. I'm very confident that they're going to grow into really good people because they just seem to have an understanding of what can happen where. Like they have a I can't really put. I don't know if I can put that into words. Apart from that, like they have a situational awareness when it comes to just what they can and can't do.
Oh, it's a big thing at the moment, Wiggins. This is the EQ. The emotional intelligence is massive at the moment. It's a desired skill. It sounds like you're phenomenal. I'm being flippant here, but yeah, it sounds awesome.
They are. I mean, look, this. Obviously, I think Louis and Rose have it in spades, and I think in some instances it does spill over a little bit. I think Halves is, just being a little bit older. There's a bit more consistency there. I don't know what's going to happen in these next couple of years. Like he did turn 15 yesterday, but that emotional intelligence is there, and it's good as a parent to be able to see that in your kids.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Well, 3 years ago, Matt said his proudest parenting moment was picking his daughter up from school. She was very upset, so instead of driving home, they drove to a nice spot, and he let her talk about it and cry and get everything out, and then took her home. Rich said his proudest parenting moment was other people complimenting him and Tony on how enjoyable it is to look after his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was 100% with that. I think that's a very uplifting thing to happen. And we didn't get an answer from Ben because we started talking about something else. Do you admit when you were wrong enough to your kids?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be interesting again to hear what they have to say about that, but I think so.
No, I think that, I think it kind of goes back into that being emotionally vulnerable with them and being able to say, look, I flew off the handle there and I really should have done that and I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
However, you realise that the reason I got to that stage was because it's not just you, but your behaviour there and blah, blah, blah. So I think that, you've got to take ownership and be, a bit
well,
vulnerable.
you all agree with yourselves from 3 years ago because you all said yes. Do you talk about parenting with other men? Outside of this podcast, obviously. I've got written here, we go street men, which I assume is men in your street, not just men
on the
find
street.
Yeah.
Some guy on the street comes up to Wiggins and goes, are you looking for a fun time? Wiggins like, I'd really like to talk to you about parenting, if that's okay.
What do you think about parenting? Not as much anymore. Definitely not as much anymore.
What about you other fellas?
Yeah, I think I do. I don't know. Again, it gets less and less the older they get, which is just a delight. So real change comes over, as you were saying about Owen, when, like my eldest, will say, how was your day? And I'll tell her the truth about what happened. And she'll go, well, that sounds hard.
Yeah.
And that's the end. You're like, oh, okay. Again, like, oh, you turn into a person. All right, cool.
3 years ago, we talked about his street men. And then it evolved into a chat about being judgmental about other parents and whether they were judgmental about us before anyone else gave any answers to that. So there you go.
Tangent men.
Tangent. That's not like us, is it? Last one here. What do you hope your children remember you for? Or remember most about you, I suppose, when you're gone?
I reckon I can go close to remembering my answer because the first thing that popped into my head was that they knew that I loved them. Like
That was an earlier answer.
Yeah, but I think that was the same answer.
Similar. Yeah.
I think I feel the same. I feel the same now. I want them to know that I love them, and I've made a more concerted effort over this last couple of months because I feel like at some stage there was a moment where I just stopped. For some reason, I stopped hugging them. I don't know what it was. And over these last couple of weeks, I've tried to, I've really made a concerted effort to be more physical and show it that way. And so, right at this time, I think that's high on the list.
Okay, so there must be a lot of loving moments in amongst you, kind of yelling about dishwashers and your son ripping one into your ribs and all this sort of stuff that goes on, right?
And
Absolutely, that's the looseness coming out. But that's just sort of like 1 minute I'm going to be giving you a big hug and telling you how much I love you, and then the next minute I'm going to throw a plate at your head.
Yeah, that sounds very alcoholic.
I did not come here for that, Matthew.
What do you remember most about Dad? He's a raging alcoholic.
What mood is he? Is he telling us he loves us, or is he throwing shit at us? Go and get some money off him. He's in a good mood.
Well, your answer was something along the lines of that. It was, I just think that hopefully they'll know that I love them and that they love me. Well, I think they love me. And then you said, Rosie likes me, Harvey resents me, and Louis just loves everyone.
Yeah.
So is that still where we're at?
No, I think everyone loves me now.
There you go.
Oh, that's good.
All right, Matt and Rich.
I think just hopefully the silliness and the weirdness, it's the same as what Alice was saying. I guess we all said, just to embrace that everyone, you should be weird.
Yeah.
To not be weird is quite boring. So
Humor's everything.
yeah, don't hide who you really are, I guess. Even though that's what you do when you're that age, but the quicker you can get to finding the friends who you can be weird with, the happier you will be. And being weird at home is a delight that will one day not be there.
Yeah. And my kids like it most of the time, but sometimes Dylan will complain that I'm being too weird.
Yeah.
What?
I like that.
So then I spend the next 20 minutes being, I am boring, Dad. Hello, Dylan. Would you like a snack, Dylan? I am boring, Dad.
Here is some celery.
Have I told you about Bitcoin?
I probably would like them to remember, and this is going to sound trite, but it's not supposed to be, but the food, the nurturing, and we love cooking together and stuff like that. So for them to sit down at a meal and say, Dad used to cook this with us and it was one of his favourite things. I think that'd be a nice way to be remembered.
I agree with that. I do most of the cooking, and I try really hard to make really nice stuff and good variety and make everything nice and flavorful and stuff. And I feel that even if there's been some issue in some other area, that I'm kind of at least trying to make up for it there every day.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I agree with that a lot. All right, well, I've said what Ben's was. Rich, you said you hope your children remembered you for bad fashion, which probably is still relevant, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And no prizes for guessing. We didn't get to Matt's answer there. We went on to something else. So there you go. There we are. Check in another 3 years with all with those questions, do you reckon?
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It sounds great to me.
Well, Harvey had just turned 18.
Fuck. Well,
How do you feel about that?
Give me 10 minutes. Just let me compute.
It doesn't matter to you.
But that was only 3 years ago.
20.
3 years ago, that was a blink.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just to let you guys know, my 15-year-old son asked for 2 things. Actually, sorry, no, he asked for 3 things, but 2 of those things were
Size.
soap. So he asked for a very specific soap,
On a rope.
and he asked for cologne.
Oh.
Okay.
Alone.
Cologne.
What specific soap and cologne was it?
So he asked for Dr. Squatch soap,
Yeah.
looking for a sponsorship, and he has had to spend 3 either Thursday night or Saturdays up at Erin Affair smelling cologne so he could figure out which one he wanted.
Oh, he's on the hunt.
He is.
He's on the hunt.
Surely it's Lynx Africa all the way. What else do you need?
What is he doing?
Well, that's what
What else
Louis
does a
wearing at the
15-year-old boy
moment.
do? Hey, Louis. I was going to get Louis to rate my burger again the other night, Wiggins. It was a good one. It was a chicken burger. It was pretty epic.
Well, Ellis, to what you said before, every night in the last 10 nights, whatever I've cooked, I just know that if I'm feeling a bit down about anything, if I put some food in front of Louis, he'll take a bite and just go, Dad, this is the best dinner ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what you want to do is make sure that you aren't making up for parenting shortfalls just with giving your kids food they like.
Correct.
Otherwise, I'm going to have very cheese-based meals for the rest of eternity if that's the case.
So much cheese.
All right. Well,
And mince.
what else is there? It's getting late. Thanks, fellas. I'm glad we could check in. Gender fart gap's real. Spread the word. We're not taking it anymore. And talk to you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
What do we do? Start a Facebook group or something?
Gender fart.
Gender fart.
I think we could get Jordan Peterson on here talking about gender fart gaps
Oh,
pretty easily.
He'd be all over it.
He'd be all over that stuff.
He'd be all
He's
over
already
it.
he's probably
Piers
already got a
Morgan?
patent on it.
Piers Morgan, he'd be there, yeah.
He could get a real kind of...
Joe Rogan. All the
Joe Rogan, you could just explain it to him. He'd be like, wow, Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me tell you about that jaw muscle thing. And mushrooms.
Oh,
The gender fart gap.
the gender fart gap.
This is an Angry Chimp podcast.